Contact tracing is another area where apps are fast being touted as a potential solution um, to get the West out of economically crossing population lockdown, opening up the possibility of people's mobile devices becoming a tool of enforced lockdowns, as has happened in China. Large-scale collection of personal data can quickly lead to mass surveillance. Is the succinct warning of our trio of academics from London's Imperial College's computational privacy group, who have comprised their privacy concerns with COVID-19 contracts tracing apps into the set of eight questions app developers should be asking, discussing Google's release of mobile location data for COVID-19 cause. The head of the group, Yves Alexandre de Montjoie, give a general thumbs up to the steps it's taken to shrink privacy risks. Also, he also called for Google to provide more detail about the technical processes it's using in order that external researchers can better assess the robustness of the claiming privacy protections. Such scrutiny is of pressing importance with so much coronavirus-related data grabbing going on right now, he argues. It is all aggregated. They normalize to a specific set of dates. They threshold when there are too few people, and on top of this they add noise to make, according to them, the data differentially private. So from a pure anonymization perspective, it's good work. The Montjoyer told TechCrunch, discussing the technical side of Google's release of location data. Those are three of the big levers that you can use to limit risk, and I think it's well done. But especially in times like this when there is a lot of people using data, I think that we would have liked is more details. There is a lot of assumptions on thresholding, thresholding on how do you apply differential privacy right? What kind of assumptions are you making? He added, querying how much noise Google is adding to data. For example, it would be good to have a bit more detail on how they applied differential privacy. Especially in times like this, it is good to be overly transparent. While Google's mobility data release might appear to overlap in purpose with the Commission's call for EU technical metadata for COVID-19 tracking, the Montjoie points out there are likely to be key differences based on the different data sources. It's always the trade-off between the two, he said. It basically telco data would probably be less fine-grained because GPS is much more precise spatially and spatially, and you might have more data points per person per day with GPS than what you get with mobile phone. But on the other hand, the carrier telco data is much more representative. It's not only smartphone, and it's not only people who have latitude on, it's everyone in its country, including non-smartphone. They may be country-specific questions that it could be better addressed by working with a local carrier. He also suggested the Commission has said it's intending to have a one carrier per EU member state, providing anonymized and aggregated metadata on the typical question of whether location data can ever be truly anonymized. De Montjoie, an expert in data identification, gave a yes and no response, arguing that the original location data is probably really hard to anonymize. Can you process this data and make the aggregated results anonymous? Probably yes. Yes, it always depends. But then it also means that the original data exists. Then it's mostly a question of the controls you have in place to ensure the process that leads to generating those aggregates does not contain privacy risks. He adds, perhaps a bigger question related to Google's location data dump is around the issue of legal content to be tracking people in the first place. While the tech giant claims the data is based on opt-ins to location tracking, the company was fined $57 million by France's data watchdog last year for lack of transparency over how it used people's data. Then earlier this year, the Irish Data Protection Commission (DPC), and now the Real Privacy Regulator for Google in Europe, confirmed a formal probe of the company's location tracking activity, following a 2018 complaint by EU consumers groups which accused Google of using manipulative tactics in order to keep tracking web users' location for ad targeting purposes. The issues raised within the concerns related to legality of Google's processing of location data and transparency surrounding that processing, said the DPC in a statement in February announcing the investigation. The legal questions hanging over Google's consent to track people likely explains the repeated references in its blog post to people choosing to opt in and having the ability to clear their location history via settings. Users who have location history turned on can choose to turn the setting off at any time from their Google account, and can always delete location history data directly from their timeline, it writes in one example. In addition to offering up coronavirus mobility reports, which Google specifies it will continue to do throughout the crisis, the company said it's collaborating with secret epidemiologists working on COVID-19 with updates to an existing aggregate anonymized dataset that can be used to better understanding and forecast the pandemic. Data of their type has helped researchers look into predicting epidemics, plan urban and transit infrastructure, and understanding people's mobility and responses to conflict and natural disaster. It adds.